The photo proves you were there. It also proves you were not inside it. You were already outside the moment when you reached for the phone, already converting the experience into evidence of the experience. The document survived, the moment did not. This is not about photography. Photography is not the problem. The problem is the substitution, the specific act of leaving the experience in order to record it, of converting the moment into content before the moment has finished happening, of treating the life as raw material for a product. And the product is for whom? Not future you, not really. Future you could have had the memory, the actual embodied, emotionally encoded memory of being fully inside that moment. Instead, future you will have a file, a compressed, two dimensional, context stripped record of a moment you were not fully present for because you were busy making the file. The memory you traded away was worth more than the file you made, and the trade was made without knowing it was a trade. In 2014, a researcher named Linda Henkel demonstrated something that should have changed how everyone thinks about photography. Participants who photographed objects in a museum remembered them less well, in less detail, with less accuracy, than participants who simply looked at them. The act of photographing reduced memory encoding, not because the photographers were less attentive, because the brain, knowing the record was being kept externally, reduced its own investment in the internal record. The camera did not extend the memory, it replaced it, and the replacement was worse. This is the mechanism the user of every photo taking device in the world has been running, without knowing it, in every meaningful moment of their life. The brain is efficient. It does not invest in internal encoding when it believes external storage exists. Tell the brain the moment is being saved elsewhere, and the brain steps back. The attention that would have built the memory is redistributed. The experience passes, the file remains. The memory does not. There is another layer beneath the memory argument, the anticipated social response. The photograph is rarely taken purely for the private record. Before the shutter closes, before the moment has ended, the mind has already moved to the post, the caption, the platform, the expected response. The experience is being pre converted into anticipated approval before it has finished occurring. The moment is not being lived and then shared. The moment is being interrupted to produce something shareable. The experience has become the raw material. The content is the product. The approval is the point. And the approval, when it arrives, does not feel like the experience would have felt. It cannot. It is a response to the record, not to the moment. And the person standing in the likes and the comments is not the person who was at the concert. The person who was at the concert was barely there. The philosopher Walter Benjamin wrote in 1935 about the aura, the quality of presence that belongs to a thing existing in a specific place, a specific time, unrepeatable, irreducible to its reproduction. The reproduction captures the image, it does not capture the aura. The photograph of the sunset is not the sunset. The photograph of the person you love is not the person you love. Something is always lost in the conversion, the specific, unrepeatable quality of the thing as it actually was. Guy Debord extended this in 1967. Life converted into representation becomes less real than the representation. The image replaces the experience. The spectacle, the accumulated sum of all the images produced from all the moments converted, becomes what is real. The life behind the images becomes the raw material for a reality that exists primarily on screens. Debord wrote this before the smartphone, before the feed, before the story. He was describing television. What he described has since been installed in every pocket and handed to every person on the planet. Susan Sontag wrote that the camera creates a relationship of acquisition rather than experience. To photograph something is to have a relationship with it, not to be inside it, to possess a record of it. The tourist moves through the world taking it, not receiving it, not being changed by it, taking it, building a collection of evidence that they were adjacent to remarkable things, adjacent, not inside. Now, the mechanism beneath it. The documentation does not fill the emptiness, it is a response to it. The person who reaches for the phone at the concert, at the dinner, at the moment that should be enough on its own, is not enriching the experience. They are confessing that the experience, as it is, does not feel sufficient, that without the record, without the post, without the external confirmation that the thing happened, it does not feel real. The emptiness came first. The documentation is the attempt to fill it, and the attempt fails. Because the record of an experience is not the experience, and the approval of an audience is not the same as having been fully alive in a moment. The moments that actually fill a person, the ones that last, the ones that become the architecture of a life, are almost never the documented ones. They are the ones that were too immediate, too complete, too fully inhabited to interrupt. The conversation that went until 3 a.m., the walk that had no destination, the moment of understanding something that reorganized everything else. These do not appear in the feed because the hand never reached for the phone, because the experience was enough, because the experience was more than enough. The people who have genuinely lived, who have been fully present in the moments that composed their life, often have very little to show for it. No feed, no archive, no curated record of their most meaningful experiences, because the experiences were lived, not produced, and a lived experience does not require evidence. It is its own evidence. It lives in the person, not in the phone. The memory research is consistent. The moments most durably encoded are the ones that received full attention, not the ones that were documented, the ones that were inhabited. The brain remembers what the person was actually inside. It does not remember what they were adjacent to while making a file. You will not find the best moments of your life in your camera roll. If you lived them, if you were actually there, they are in you, already, deeper than any file can reach. And if the camera roll is the best record you have, if the photos are the proof that the moments happened, then the phone was not there to remember them. The phone was there instead of you.